Welcome to the Leadership Art Podcast. I'm your host, Art Robbins, and it's great to have you join us. The Leadership Art Podcast showcases everyday leadership in action. Each episode features insightful conversations with industry leaders who lead with purpose. You will discover practical insights, powerful lessons, and everyday inspiration to elevate your own impact. Whether you're leading now or preparing to step up, we want to inspire you to be the best leader you can be. And today on the podcast, I'm thrilled to welcome Manoj Menon, a renowned executive and entrepreneur who is joining us all the way from Singapore. Manoj, welcome.
Yeah, great to be here. Thank you. And firstly, congratulations on initiating this podcast series on leadership with art. I think it's a fascinating idea. I wish you the very best and success in helping realize the aspiration that you have with it.
Well, thank you, Manoj. That means a lot to me. Thank you so much. So let me tell the audience a little bit about you. You have a career spanning over 3 decades, including leadership roles at Frost and Sullivan, and you've been at the forefront of innovation, digital transformation, and thought leadership across the entire Asia Pacific region. And currently, you're the founder and CEO of Twimbit, which is a cutting edge research and advisory firm reimagining how business insights are leveraged to drive growth. And Manoj is passionate about purpose driven business, customer experience, and future leadership. He brings unique perspectives that challenge the conventional visions for the future of work and research. And Manoj, you and I go back a long way. We've worked together at Forrest and Sullivan for a long time. I was leading the Americas region, you were leading the Asia Pac region. And I don't know if I ever told you this. And if I didn't, it's long overdue, and I apologize. But I was always very impressed with how you established yourself in the Asia Pacific business community. And there are so many aspects of that leadership journey you created that we can explore today, and so many lessons to cover to inspire our audience to take their own journey. But what I would really like to focus on is there was a pivotal point in your journey where you decided to transition from a corporate role to an entrepreneurial role. And you were a senior tenured managing partner at a recognized company, well established, and you decided to launch a pure startup company, which was Twimbit. And that takes a lot of vision and also a lot of courage to do it. So I'm wondering if you could share that thought process and what encouraged you ultimately to make that move.
Thank you again, Art, and thank you for such generous compliments. I had spent over 2.5 decades with Frost and Sullivan. It was my first employer. I was an intern with Frost, and I owe immense gratitude for them having picked me up when I was just graduating out of postgraduate school. And it gave me an incredible opportunity to build that business. I was one of the first employees. I was fresh out of college, and they empowered me to do that. And we enjoyed incredible success over 2.5 decades, building the business across almost every part of Asia. And towards the last few years, I just felt that with so much of change in technology, I wanted to do something on my own. So there was a burning desire to say, one of my unfulfilled aspiration was I want to do something on my own. So I quit, not with the intent that I will start a research advisory firm. I quit saying, I got to take a break. I got to rethink. And I really didn't want to go back to corporate. I want to be on that learning journey. And the biggest form of learning is when you put yourself in the most difficult of situations. And I thought this is what will help me become better, challenge me. And it has lived up to that promise. So I quit to just start something. And initially, it took a while. I must say, I quit towards end of 2018. For the first almost 2 years, I went from idea to idea. I focused on building a learning company. I thought the world needs more curated, targeted learning. I quickly discovered that it is always interesting, but 95% of people really aren't interested in learning. Nobody really is so passionate that they will just go to learn. And that business model seemed very weak. So I pivoted back slowly. I discovered my key strength is in research. And I'm passionate about research. And that's how Twimbit came about, to being focused on research and advisory, but with a focus on technology. Saying, how can I use technology to change the way the entire journey from ideation to production to dissemination of content be done better? And that's how Twimbit came into being.
Now, there's a lot of great things about Twimbit I want to explore, but before we do that, just going back to the decision itself, because so many people struggle with the idea of leaving a corporate job or moving to entrepreneurship. And there are far more people that aspire to be an entrepreneur that never take the leap. Was there an actual catalyst in there that said, by goodness, I got to do it right now? Or this is what convinced me it's the right time? Or is it just more of a process that you have to go through?
I think it is a process, inherently, most of us have this burning desire, right? And it really is like an on off switch. I think the moment you discover it, there are many things in life that has happened to me in a similar way. I used to smoke cigarettes and I smoked it for maybe close to 15 years. And I always wanted to quit, but I was so addicted to it. And the day when it happened, it just happens, right? And the same is with entrepreneurship. It is there is a burning desire to do something, and then the time comes and you feel I got to do it. And it is difficult, and I've got some great pieces of advice around the journey from many people to support me. Many people encourage me to say, go ahead, you have what it takes. And I'm blessed that I was able to pull through, because it's not easy. We only hear all the great success stories. Almost many businesses struggle to realize the aspiration of what they're looking at building. So I feel good that we are at a decent place in the last 5 years, built something interesting and reasonably successful to deliver on the promise, because we are profitable, we take care of our teams, and I think we deliver some unique value to customers.
Yeah. I've had exposure to a Twimbit, which I've really enjoyed working with you and the team, and there truly are many unique aspects of it. And one of the things that is interesting, and I just recently read a paper, and I'm going to paraphrase it, said that when an entrepreneur starts a company and he has a vision, if he doesn't have any followers, if he doesn't have any employees, he really isn't an entrepreneur yet. He's a loner. And he doesn't really become an entrepreneur until he gets that first follower, then brings on more followers or more employees. And they share the vision with him. And together as a team, they build the company. Could you describe what that was like? How did you gain the following? Because you have some very talented, driven people working for you that have made all this happen. It truly was a
Yeah.
team effort. How do you
Yeah.
get people on board at the very outset here?
Yeah. It was extremely challenging, because we started the company somewhere late 2018. This was at the peak of digital disruption. There was so much excitement, so much venture capital, hard to get technology people on your team. Super hard. Everybody's asking for insane amounts of money. At the same time, the experienced people, as you said, are very comfortable in their jobs. They don't want to leave their existing jobs and follow you, right? So one of my former colleagues introduced me to somebody and said, hey, here is a guy who's on a similar journey. He's trying to discover himself. And he was completely from a different field altogether. He was more focused on human capital development. And I always believe that research connecting with human capital development is an area that we haven't fully explored. And one thing led to another. And slowly I had a cohort of 3 people who were in a similar situation in their life, wanted to do something. We participated in some competitions. We won some small startup contests in completely unrelated domains. And that's how slowly the team started taking shape. But as I said, for the first 24 months, we were not driven by one mission. We were only driven by a mission that we want to create something beautiful. We were still discovering what is that customer problem we will solve. We truly found that answer actually much later. So my journey was very difficult. It didn't start with a customer problem. It started with our desire to build something unique and different to serve society correctly. Yeah.
How did you realize that you suddenly had the right customer problem in front of you? Because this is, again, is also very common with startups. They might start with one vision and it morphs over time as they get feedback from the market and they go through their various trial periods? How do you know you have the right problem in front of you after you've done so much testing?
So, the biggest challenge I always felt in research was so much research was produced. People just don't read it. And 90% of consulting projects are delivered as PowerPoint and it doesn't get action. So the belief was, how do we help greater consumption? How do we make it beautiful? I was very inspired by this book called The Experience Economy in Harvard Business Review. And he talks about how we are pivoting towards value creation in experience. So I said it should happen the same with research. That means research is about the consumption experience. It's not about delivery of PowerPoint. It's about, can you make it as beautiful as a luxury product being showcased with beautiful pictures and storytelling? Can technology become so easy that consuming research is as easy as consuming TikTok? So that's how we started pivoting and we started telling stories. From day one, we were beginning to tell a lot more stories about companies, about great best practices, about industries. And that storytelling is reaching out extremely well. We started getting great LinkedIn attention. And I think we owe a large part of our success to LinkedIn.
Did you actually hire a LinkedIn expert to help
No,
you figure out how to position it?
no, actually, we did it ourselves. I think we went through it, we iterated, we discovered it ourselves. We didn't even think that LinkedIn will be it, but maybe we were lucky that the pandemic happened at that time. There was a lot of consumption of LinkedIn happening at that time. So it was the right time for us to express our opinion. And people were more willing to accept. We were able to do so many podcasts and we experimented with tons of things. If you remember, we even created the Twimbit Youth Summit.
Right,
We
right.
brought in young teenagers between the age of 12 to 16 and they experimented and talking about the future of industries. So we ran tons of small experiments to say what is working, what is engaging. And we just threw ourselves full on with everything. And we saw what will stick and something stuck. We built on it, some things didn't. And we moved on and we kept improving. We built the technology platform. We realized people can't read more than 15, 20 seconds. So we started creating Insta bits like very small reels of
Right.
content that people can consume. Yeah.
You've clearly developed a new business model for creating and consuming research. And one thing that's interesting, I think this applies to a lot of entrepreneurs, is when you're entering an industry, you have all the big legacy players, and they may recognize the same problems that you have that, oh, well, people just don't want to read research anymore. It's going unutilized, but they have all this legacy. They have all the legacy assets and knowledge and systems that it's hard, if not impossible, for them to their business to create something radically different. And that's where the entrepreneur comes in. Is that really true? Is it really easier for the entrepreneur to start with a blank sheet of paper and build something totally new? Does that give them an advantage over the legacy firms?
I think so, because when you are a large firm, you have to protect your reputation. You cannot take risks that I took in terms of putting out things there, putting a half-cooked platform out there to see whether people will bite it or not bite it. Right. So putting out some pieces of content, which may be not of that level of depth of expertise, but it gave me the chance to test out that. So clearly there is a lot of freedom that they give to people when you are starting without the legacy or without the reputation that comes with working for a large firm. Second is the ability to even experiment with technology. All of these things are great pluses. The cost structure of experimenting is much lower in a startup as compared to a large business. The overheads are significantly lower. And that's why most innovation happens in younger startup companies. Yeah.
No, there's some great lessons there. I'd like to explore a different aspect of Twimbit and your own leadership philosophy is you clearly in all the material define Twimbit as a purpose-driven company. And you talk about it on the website and illustrate. You've actually created a format and a set of criteria of what
Yeah,
a purpose-driven company is. So I'm wondering if you could explain that briefly for the audience here. What does it
sure.
take to make a company purpose-driven?
Yeah, so this has always bothered me because even when I was in my earlier career as well, I used to think about companies and why they exist and how old they have been. And I looked at some of the oldest companies in the world. A large number of the oldest companies somehow have come from Japan. And eventually, it really boiled down to their purpose statement. And as I looked at their purpose statement, it said, our business is to serve society. And you think about it, the businesses were first set up. Why were they set up? They were not set up with the motive of creating profit. They were set up because I can bring a collection of individuals to work together to solve a common problem. That was the intent, right? But then over the years, capitalism took over, and it seems like the only intent is to make profit. The
Mhm.
only thing we care
Take the
about is
shareholder
what's right.
prize.
Yeah. So then we said, hey, what is a great business? What is the true value of a business? The true value of a business is it should serve society. Then I chanced upon this business roundtable, which is a collection of the top few hundred CEOs in the US. And they actually wrote a great piece called the Business Roundtable Purpose Document. Almost over 100 CEOs of the world's biggest companies in the US actually signed that declaration that we will become purpose driven business.
Mhm.
That means we will serve all stakeholders in equal measure. That means we will serve employees, customers, partners, shareholders, and society in equal measure. Just because my profits are a little less doesn't mean I sacrifice the employees.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean I keep a weak employee on my payroll and impact the business. I do want to run a high performance business, but I got to do it right. I got to give enough time and latitude. Profit is not the only driving motivation for building the business. So that's what purpose driven is all about. We are far away from doing it well, but I think we are trying hard to abide by it. We try to put a customer sat score, an employee sat score, a shareholder score. Did we do enough for society? Have we contributed enough in any meaningful way? What did we do for our partners? Do we pay them on time? Do we treat them with the right levels of respect that we expect our suppliers, our customers to deal with us? So that's how this purpose index and this purpose scorecard came into being.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, how do you take that vision of purpose driven and actually implement it and proliferate it throughout the company culture and also in the external brand identity? But I think you just summed it up. It's by doing some of the everyday basic business acts and doing it with consideration and respect of the shareholders, paying vendors on time, treating employees well. These are things they manifest themselves in dozens, if not hundreds of acts every day. And when someone looks at the big picture, they said, well, this company is behaving in a purpose driven manner. Is that one way
Correct.
to look at it?
I think that's how we should do it. And that's how hopefully measuring it annually and publishing it. So we did publish our annual report last year. And we said, okay, let's put this purpose scorecard. Let's rate ourselves. We are not mandated by law or anyone to do it. We said, okay, what is the score we gave ourselves on customer? What is the score that partners gave us, our suppliers? What did they give us? What is the score that the employees gave us? They gave us an okay score. They didn't give us a great score.
Mhm.
What did we do for society? Last year, we hardly did anything for society. We gave ourselves 1 out of 5. And what did we do for shareholders? How much profit did we generate? So we ranked ourselves wherever we can and we put it out there. We're not saying we are perfect, but
Yeah.
we are trying to hold ourselves accountable. And let's see, we'll keep building. I haven't published it this year. We have just got so busy, but we'll do it this year as well.
I think that's a great summation. As we're starting to get towards the end of our time here, I'm wondering if you could maybe wrap some things up. Like, what are some of the key leadership principles that people should consider? They're developing their own brand of leadership.
I think we have to each discover what we are good at and keep working on improving those aspects of what we are good at. And the moment we discover that, the moment we are able to fuel that, then I think you find a greater degree of satisfaction and you find that cohort of people who are equally motivated by that particular purpose and cause. And it can be as narrow a cause as it can be. So I'm very passionate about research and writing great research and publishing it, making it beautiful, presenting it nicely, and also this larger passion of serving the community correctly. So I combine these two principles. And the more I communicate, the more people I attract in my client ecosystem or in my employee and colleague ecosystem, people with similar traits. So it's about building that small community, and they cheer for you, they communicate with you. Yeah. The second thing that really worked is somebody told me that it takes help from a lot of people to build something incredible. So go and communicate your aspiration to everybody you know. I let everybody know what I was trying to do. I called all my friends on a Sunday and I said, I'm embarking on this journey. Give me some advice. So we had some conversation. I reached out to many a people and told them I'm doing this. So they all became, in some ways, my biggest cheerleaders and supporters. And I thought that gave me incredible encouragement. It could be a very small act from them, sometimes just liking a LinkedIn post, sometimes just showing up at an event to add to the quorum to make things happen, right?
No, it's very true. Very true. I think you were saying that everyone likes the entrepreneur and they want to support him. And I just want to add that what you were saying really resonates because that's how I got started with this podcast. A lot of people in my network said I should do it. And so I'm doing it. And that makes a big
Correct.
difference when you get that encouragement from your network.
And people want inherently other people to do that. I also think we also need to be cognizant of telling people when they should quit as well, because I see a lot of people excited about their entrepreneurship journey, giving up everything they have to get into entrepreneurship. And they sometimes struggle with it. Many people are not cut out for it. So it is important to also let people know at times, maybe this is not for you. Or if you need to do it, you need to have a really strong core team of colleagues or partners. Otherwise, you should go back to what you're good at. So I do see people struggle. It is our duty to also not just encourage people for the sake of encouraging. It's also important for us to educate people when they're not doing well and give them that real candid feedback so that they can take the right decisions for their careers, for their aspirations as entrepreneurs.
Those are great lessons. And there's a recurring theme going on. I have the benefit of seeing many of these podcasts and speaking with exciting leaders like yourself. And the theme of self awareness and knowing yourself and knowing what you're good of, that's actually been mentioned in other podcasts as well. I think that's really is a great lesson learned for anyone that you can't really lead unless you know yourself, who you are. And once you
Correct.
do that, then you've planted the seeds to become a great leader.
Correct. Correct. And it's a fun journey. Art, I must also compliment you on that beautiful logo behind you.
Oh, that one over there.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's our Leadership Art podcast logo. I hope you find it uplifting and inspiring and maybe a little bit like art with a letter A. So
It's beautiful.
thank you for
I mean,
noticing it.
I'm envious of it because, simple things in a business. In Frost, I was almost the first employee in Asia. So I felt like I had known everything and I knew every aspect about running a business, the P&L, the simple things like coming up with a company name, coming up with a logo. These are such difficult things. It's easier to
Absolutely.
sell a contract, but it is more difficult to do. So I think you got something beautiful there. So enjoy it.
Oh,
Congratulations on it.
thank you very much. There's this documentary that's airing about the starting of Twitter. It actually describes that they wanted to use the word Twitter initially, but it was already taken on the web. So it actually initially launched without any vowels in it. And ultimately, they bought the rights to the vowels. So, yeah, there's some great stories behind names and logos here. So, in closing, Manoj, as we're about to wrap this up, what are some of the things you're currently working on that's exciting you? And how can people connect with you and learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, LinkedIn, as I said, is my favorite communication medium. Please connect, and I'd love to collaborate. We are constantly looking at young people or people who are passionate in the space of research, advisory, and customer experience. AI and other technologies all help us do it. The big passionate theme we have is how to improve experiences around the world. So if you are passionate about it, you can be young, you can be old, it doesn't matter. We want people who are excited to do more work than the kind of compensation we can pay. That's why I always refer to as young in that context, right? People who are passionate about it, please connect with us. You can write with us, you can research with us, you can be a client, you can join us as a colleague. Our aspiration is we should be able to create as many jobs as possible, because one of the big challenges with technology now is that it seems like most of the focus of AI is to say automate, take away jobs, improve revenue per employee, improve profit per employee. A big challenge for nations and companies everywhere is now how do we create jobs, especially for the youth? So if we can do that, that would be the biggest impact that we can have.
Oh, that's a great mission, Manoj. And those are some great experiences and insights you shared with us. Thank you so much. And with that, we're really out of time. I just want to say it's great that you've successfully inspired our audience to be purpose driven leaders, which is what we wanted to accomplish today. And finally, I want to thank our audience for tuning in. And until our next Leadership Art podcast episode, this is your host, Art Robbins. And remember, it's your lead.